Hey, this is Paul from Personal Development Unplugged. Yeah, that's the podcast you've just tuned into. It's all about, well, this is a heads up, I guess. So it's all about those funny feelings you get occasionally when you're on this adventure of change, adventure of personal development, where things come and bite you on the bum, and this is how to deal with it. And what I'm trying to do here on this Personal Development Unplugged podcast is to keep things as simple as they can be. We always say, in simplicity there's genius. Albert Einstein. Nothing too simple or simpler than it needs to be, because I want you to put just the right amount of effort in to get more return on that investment than you could ever think. And breaking things down, breaking these complicated things that people put out there, deconstructing them into simple, easy processes that you can use. Simple how-tos. But the thing I'll always say is, if you're going to listen to this and you think, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. Please don't just know it. Do it. Because knowledge without action is, well, it's not worth a penny it's written on. And that doesn't make sense. But the next part of this podcast will. So have a listen after this. Okay. See you in a minute.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Cloughie. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. Maybe a longer episode. We'll see. Because I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. You see, I don't know why I keep saying you see, but you see. The more I learn, the more I change, the more I try to improve myself in this little world of personal development, just me trying to get better. I seem to get issues that come up. They come up and bite me on the bum sometimes. Happened this morning, happened yesterday. And why is that? Why is that? And I was reminded of this by one of my coaching clients, because we did some wonderful work together. And then a couple of days later, I saw he was posting saying, man, it seems that everything was going so well, and then everything's gone. I don't know what to do. It's as if all the improvements I've made have just disappeared. And you see, that's not unusual. It really isn't unusual. In fact, I tell my clients that sometimes you will have these massive improvements. And in the space of time that you are improving, they are massive. You know, you're making changes in an hour and a half of things that have been going on for years. And sometimes it feels so bloody good to get that feeling of change, of letting go. But then that little bit of integration that happens after, it's like your unconscious mind goes, but let me just sort everything out. And it's as if these things just don't work. But then the good news is they do. You see, when I didn't used to go to the gym, I never seemed to get injured. Not weird. Never got injured by not going to the gym. Thing is, I just stayed unfit. Body was not the temple that it is now. No, I just wasn't fit. Wasn't healthy. And again, before I started this adventure into personal development, I used to have things that come up and bit me on the bum, but it was as if I was just wandering around. Things happened to me. I never was able to either react or able to foresee what's going to happen and do things about it. I just wandered around aimlessly in this life. I had a few goals. I was goal driven, but it was as if I just got lucky. And if I didn't get lucky, I didn't know what to do about it. And sometimes those feelings hurt. But the thing is, when I think about it now, am I superhumanly fit? No, not at all. Do I go to the gym? Yes, most days. And I do get injured occasionally when I'm being a little bit stupid and do a little bit too much for my age and body and things like that. But the thing is, I learn now. I learn with each one of those and learn with the exercises I do, and to make small gains, to stay fitter, to try to keep the best weight I can. And that leads me to other things, because it gets me to think about being healthy, what I eat, what I drink, Doesn't always work, mind you, at the weekends, but it actually takes me into different contexts of my life. The mind, the body, and the spirit. Which leads me back into that personal development. This is an adventure. But it doesn't mean I'm going to get lucky all the time, but it just seems that I get more luckier. Or synchronicity gets in. But I also get bitten up the bum. But here's the good thing. It's because I'm pushing my boundaries. I know that. And if you push your boundaries, I also know that sometimes we have to have a little bit of time to rest, a little bit of time for our unconscious mind to integrate what we've already learned. But the good thing is, I have the skills to deal with that. So I'm not just wandering around aimlessly going, I don't feel too good today. In fact, this morning, I write my journal, I got that funny feeling again. It's something I'd worked on a couple of days before. But it was as if there was like an echo, something just a little bit more. So I just stopped and paused and just sat with myself. And I'll talk about that later in how we can do this. But it was like something that was in me saying, hey, I want to have a chat. This is important. It may not be big, but it's important. And I got some thoughts in my journal for it. And then I got to thinking even deeper. And I think that's the thing. When we do this work, this change work, this goal for ourselves to be the best we can be, we are going to push against things that take us sometimes off balance, that we have to process. And when we process these things, sometimes it feels uncomfortable. But when we know it's only feeling uncomfortable for a short time whilst it happens, and if we can aid that process with the skills we've got, it's something to look forward to. And that's why my meta view on this was, congratulations. If you're working on your personal development, and if you are, I know, because you're listening to this. If you listen to my old voice sharing things and you sharing them with me, you're in here, this adventure together to make things different for ourselves, improve ourselves. They're 1% or more. We're just going to, and this thing, we do get injured occasionally because we're pushing, but we learn from it. It's only an idiot who doesn't learn, does the same thing again. And I've been an idiot a few times in the gym, I must admit. I've done the same thing again, and guess what? I did get hurt. But that's it. If you don't learn quick enough, that's what happens. But they're not massive injuries, are they? They're wake-up calls, I guess. But here's the thing. As I said right at the beginning, reminded by this coaching client of mine. So I gave him some advice. And this was advice I learned way, way back in my very first training for hypnosis. And what it had to do with hypnosis, I don't know, but I get it now. I've always known it, but it just, again, sometimes this learning is always there, but you need to be reminded of it, if that's a word. And you see, we tend to learn new things at a rapid rate. So if you could imagine a graph going from left to right, that line would be pretty steep. That learning would be pretty steep because it's new, it's exciting, we're moving forward, things are happening, we're seeing new things, we're pushing the boundaries, enforcing our boundaries. Sometimes that's what we call it in NLP. In our comfort zone and then pushing through it. And I don't like the word comfort zone because it's not always comfort or comfortable, certainly familiar, but we're pushing through it into something better. And when we do that, as I said, sometimes our unconscious mind has to catch up and process the things that we've learned, process the changes, integrate the learnings. And when we do that, sometimes it does feel a little uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels a little bit unstable emotionally. Told you before about some of the deep times I've had and the great learnings I've had, and then all of a sudden feeling totally bad. Bad in a not a bad way, but a bad way. Just working with it, sitting with it, letting it do what it needs to do. And then boom, we're back again. And that graph, as it were, we get like a jagged line where we're trying to integrate and learn, and then off at an angle again, a nice steep angle, because we start learning again and we start using the learnings that we've just acquired and becoming more familiar again with this bigger, expanded area that we have set for ourselves. So it's all about congratulating yourself, saying, well, I'm pushing through my barriers. This is progress, even though it doesn't seem like progress at the time. This is progress. But how can we make this an easier thing to do? And I think that's the thing about this. It wants to be simple. We know in simplicity there's genius. Don't be too simple. Doesn't mean to say simple is easy. We talk about that. It takes action. Knowing all of this, we just need to commit to the change. And this is becoming aware of your emotions, which is part of this process, I guess, of development, this adventure of change, because you will become more aware of what's happening around you, more aware of your emotions, more aware of the behaviors you do, whether you like them, whether you don't, whether you want to change them. Maybe even sometimes aware of your unconscious beliefs, especially if you do work with yourself around those emotions that are happening, and ask yourself, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? Because they go hand in hand. And working on that, then you are going to make those leaps and bounds, and then you are going to have this little bit of just integration and funny feelings. So what do? What is the easiest thing to do? What's the most simplest thing to do? Well, maybe my example of today. Stop pushing. Don't push against it, because when you push, you're really just enforcing that conflict. What we're saying to your unconscious mind is, no, it's okay. Take your time. There's no rush. It's not going to take very long anyway. It just takes longer if we keep trying to push it and push it and push it. So we're just going to look to walk in this adventure together, you and your unconscious mind, to be able to evolve together. How do you do that? Pause. That's stopping. Just pause and take some time. And it is so simple. You can say to your unconscious mind, okay, you carry on. I'm going to do this. We've talked about it before, doing something mundane. Or if you can just take the time just to sit and be quiet with that feeling. Put your attention into that feeling of maybe unease, and just describe it to yourself. So you become that teacher of yourself, that meta view. We've talked about this before. But as you do that, just ask your unconscious mind, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to learn? Is there anything you want me to learn? Or is it just time that you need? What do you need to be able to learn and let this feeling go? Maybe you just want to take a little bit of hypnosis to set it aside and do some hypnosis that just jumps out at you. You know the hypnosis tracks that I have. There's over 40. You can pick any one of those. One that jumps out with interest, and you go, okay, well, I'm going to do this while you're processing. How do you get those hypnosis tracks? A little plug, paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Sign up. They're all yours. They're downloadable. That's the main thing, which means you can use them anywhere. Put them on your phone, sit in your car, listen to that. But even if you are just sitting in your car, or you're sitting on the bus, or you're doing anything, you can just close your eyes. No one's going to give a monkeys about what you're doing. Close your eyes and put your attention in that feeling. You can do it without even closing your eyes. Just put your attention into that feeling and just keep asking, what can I learn from this? What can you, my unconscious mind, learn from this? What do I need to do to make it easier? This is just allowing that evolution to happen right in front of your very eyes, right in front of your very awareness. So you can then begin to look forward to know, well, okay, it's doing this at the moment, but soon it's going to be awesome. And when you do take this time, I tend to find that it speeds up the process. So you can just say, I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Just sit and let this happen. Maybe I'll put myself into that little trance. You know how to do that. Just go back to a feeling that you just enjoyed in trance. Think of that feeling. And as you do, go back into it and then speak with your internal voice to that part of you maybe that's going through this change with you. Ask, what does it need? Ask the rest of your unconscious mind to give learnings to help this part become integrated in the whole of you, because parts don't work. Wholeness works. And this is sometimes there's like this part of you that wants to come back home. That's the way I feel. It's had the guts, I just want to be part of you again. It's time to come home. And when I think about welcoming a part of me back home again, it's as if my whole unconscious mind just goes, we're done. We can do it. And I say, I did that this morning. Just sat there. It was only about 10 minutes. And I just felt so much better after. I don't know what those learnings were. I know I will learn. I know I will find out what they are if it's necessary, if it's helpful. But if it isn't helpful to my conscious mind, why would I want to know? It's like that old thing about the light switch. Do you know everything about electricity and how the light bulb works and how it all gets from created down the street, down your road avenue, into your house, into the wherever, through the switchboard, into your and you switch? No, just put the bloody light on by turning the switch. because that's all I need to know is how. And that's this thing about stopping and pausing. You know how now. You know how to sit with yourself, with your best friend. Because that's what you do with a best friend, isn't it? If you had a best friend outside of you, I know you got lots, but if one of your best friends was having an issue, you say, just sit quietly with me. It's okay. If you want to speak, you can speak. If you want to just sit and be quiet, I'll sit quietly with you and I'll listen. I'll listen to you. I'll only give advice if you ask for it. But if you just want to speak and I'll listen, that's good enough. Be compassionate and helpful. And then when you're compassionate with yourself, because most of the time we're bloody not, are we? If you spoke to an external best friend, the way you speak to yourself, okay, I'll turn it back on my head. The way I would never, ever, ever speak to my friends, the way I sometimes speak to myself. Now, why would you ever do that? I have to get hold of myself and go, no, stop. This is my best friend inside. How would I speak to a best friend? How would I sit with a best friend? How would I comfort a best friend? A best friend that does more than I could ever think of doing is so much more powerful than my conscious mind. My conscious mind is just here to enjoy what's happening. It's a goal setter. We always say that the conscious mind is a goal setter. Your unconscious mind is a goal getter. So how can I encourage this goal getter to use all the skills, to continue learning, to enforce my boundaries, to go through my boundaries, to make this adventure so exciting? And when you think about it, it is literally just sitting, pausing and learning, allowing your unconscious mind to do what it needs to do. And in that way, yeah, you will get these little issues come along, but you'll look forward to them now. You go, okay, it's got nothing too big. It's just a matter of sitting down quietly. I've even said to my unconscious mind, look, I'm so busy at the moment. I need to get this particular thing done. Is it okay if we park this until maybe when I go to bed, when I spend the last 5 or 6 minutes? Maybe we could do it then, or maybe in the evening. Maybe I could just sit in the garden and we'll work through it. And as if my best friend says, wow, that'll be fine. No worries. Take your time. We'll get back to this because it's important that we do it properly. I'm sorry to interrupt right here, but I've just had a thought. Here's another way that you can take time out and work with these things. It's an awesome way, and it's one of my programs. Have a little listen now, and then we'll come back to the rest of the podcast. But have a think, because this could be another wonderful way that you can work through these little ups and downs, okay? We all need time to de-stress, don't we? We all need that space. Everyone needs space. Our own place of personal retreat. And going to retreats are great. But if you can't, why not have one in your mind? You know, if you don't go to that special place, that stress just builds and builds and builds. But if you have a place in your mind where you can go and de-stress, work out problems, think of all the wonderful things that you'll be able to do. The wonderful feelings. So that's why I've created this program of 4 hypnosis tracks to build and be and have your own inner retreat. You can have whatever you like in that inner retreat. There can be rooms, there can be libraries, healing rooms, different lighting, maybe a fire in the corner, a special chair, maybe incense, anything that you choose. Some people have a computer that stores all the memories you've ever had, that library of everything you've ever read or everything you ever need to know. Maybe a healing room, a room where you can just go to and have your own inner healing or own inner relaxation. So what have I done? I've created these 4 tracks. 1 to build, 1 to extend it whenever you need to extend it, and then to be able to go there for a particular period of time or even a longer period of time. So you've got 2 tracks of just going and being in that special place where you can, take a problem with you, maybe muse it over in that special place, or you can leave it there, leave it to incubate in your unconscious mind. So when you come back, well, you can just have the answers come, or they might just come consciously. It's all there for you. All you have to do is go to paulcloughonline.com/retreat, have a look, give you a nice little video there, just see if it's for you. I think it's a lovely little program. There's nothing to lose because there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's a lovely program, and I think it was one I wanted to do for myself because I just thought it's such a wonderful thing to do. I love retreats, but hey, This is your own personal one. Have a look. Enjoy. That's awesome. So you could do that. So it's just a matter of just thinking to yourself, what would my best friend do for me? And what would I do for my best friend? And then apply it to yourself, to your best friend inside. So in summary, I guess, just to know that sometimes when we are on this adventure, things will sometimes feel a little bit weird. And that's okay. It's natural. In fact, it's part of the next step. So we can congratulate ourselves for getting this far along this adventure. And you can say, well, what I'm trying to get you to feel is comforted by this uncomfortable feeling. In fact, start to get excited about what's going to happen next. Because it's important to know that you're on the edge of something new, something exciting. You're making progress. You really are. And that to me is what this podcast is about, making progress. And knowing that we said it's not always easy. It's just a matter of committing and doing. And then you become the next step of who you really are. Because there's always something more. Because this is what it's all about, isn't it? There's always something more. But that more just keeps getting better. I look at it as the next step is going to be even better than this step. And the next step after that will be even better than that and more exciting and produce more, because my boundaries will get bigger and bigger, which means in this context that I just feel is improving, I know all other contexts of my life, all other areas of my life will get better as well. Because they do. The old saying, you never know how far the ripples of change will go. Well, you don't, but you do know this, that every context of your life will change. And that will affect everyone else. And when you affect everyone else in a positive way, guess what? You get to feel better too. You get to even expand in such a more comfortable way. So there's the thing. If you are getting these uncomfortable things, or you seem to say, well, I keep getting these issues. Yeah, because you're aware of them. And that's great. Because you're aware of them, you also have the skills. There's loads of skills in all the episodes of this particular podcast, the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. But there's so many others around. So many great people around that will give you such good advice. Take no nonsense of the old BS boys and girls, the ones out, just the secrets and 3 steps of that. But there are some real solid people out there who really are doing things as selfless service. And when you can do that too, by sharing what you've learned, even sharing sometimes this uncertainty feeling, so people are aware of it, like I'm sharing with you. Maybe if you see people who you think are getting this little wobble, you could be their best friend and just pause with them. Or you could even share this podcast. Get there in the end, Cloughie. Share this podcast, because you could do that right now, because I know that most devices allow you to continue to listen while you're sharing. So press the share button, pick a couple of your friends and say, I'm just listening to this right now. And I think it'll help. I'd love to know your feedback. And I'd love to know your feedback. How do you do that, Cloughie? Well, I'm sure you know, but if you don't know and you're new to this, please just email me. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. It's my personal email for this podcast. No one else gets it, only me, and you get a personal reply, as everyone knows who sent me an email. They get their personal reply from Paul. So please do that. Share with me your thoughts on this. And if there are certain issues that you need a little bit of help with, other than just sitting and pausing, let me know. Let me know, and we'll find ways, the how-tos of dealing with them. Sure we will. I just need that little prompt sometimes. If you say, well, what about this type of thing? And I go, oh yeah, that'll make me think. That'll make me stretch myself to learn more. And then I can share that with you. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just sharing what we learn in this integrated field of learning. Oh, we said it again. I say it every time, don't I? The integrated field of learning, where we just share things. It's like this big mush of learning. The whole universe is full of all this knowledge, and we can tap into it as we share it. So do please share this podcast, this episode, and share back with me your thoughts, your feelings, your whatever. I hope this has made you think a little bit. I hope it's given you that comfort that I wanted to give you and get you excited, to congratulate you, because this is, as I say, the natural next step of your adventure. And it's exciting to think that our life is adventure, which ultimately goes to that ultimate vision, that whether you have it clear, crystal clear clarity, we love to say, or whether it's just that haze, but you know it's there. Well, you're working towards it and you'll find it. But along the way, you'll get to experience wonderful things. There you go. All you have to do is put a bit of passion in there. Until next time, my friends, I'll look forward to speaking with you very soon and thinking of new things to talk about. And also keeping my journal going of the things that are happening so I can share them with you too. I'm happy to do that. So again, until next time, enjoy every heartbeat. Have more fun than you can stand. And I wonder, talking to you, the unconscious mind, again, what would it be like if you just surprised them to feel happy for no reason today? See what that's like. Bye-bye now. Have fun. Just before you go, if you've just got a second or two, please have a listen. Why don't you share this? Share this podcast with just one person today, and then one person tomorrow, and one person after that. What would happen if we all did that? And why not subscribe? It's so easy to do. Find the platform of your choice. If it's iTunes or it's Castbox or any others, there's loads of them. Search for either Paul Clough or Personal Development Unplugged, and then there's a big subscribe button. Press that subscribe button, and it'll be there. You get the podcast twice a week, on a Wednesday and a Saturday. You never have to look any further. And if you would, why not put one of those reviews up? Because that would be awesome, because that just moves it around this integrated field of learning, as it were, and becomes and gets in front of other people. Which is what we want, isn't it? To be the change we want to see in others and help others change to be the change they want to see in themselves. There you go. I'm going to speak to you real soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Have fun. Enjoy every heartbeat.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.